Indy Mogulers, welcome to episode 2 of our 3-episode BFX comeback special. Today I'm making Link's Traveler's Shield from the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now let's go over to Gabe to see how much we're spending on this build. Gabe? For this build, you'll need EVA foam floor mats, foam core poster board, craft foam, hot glue and or contact cement, quick seal, PVC pipe, PVC cutter, an old belt, a heat gun, a dish, paint, a rotary tool, sandpaper, respirator, goggles, a sharpening stone, scissors, razor pens, or a box cutter.
Super time lapse, whoa!
First, you're going to have to cut some circles out of EVA foam. I'm using these faux wood flooring mats, which means I have to cut off the laminated pattern, but because it's beige on one side, it'll save me a ton of time later on when I'm painting. More on that later. You'll have to regularly sharpen your knife during this build, so take plenty of safety precautions. So in the game, one side of the shield has a slight dome shape, whereas the other appears to be made up of flat wooden planks. So find a large circular shape and use it to trace a circle onto 2 sheets of foam. Cut them out. It may be beneficial to make one circle just a tad larger than the other, since making it into a curved dome means it'll have to cover just a little bit more surface area. So I don't know, cut outside the line or something. Draw 3 lines on one of the circles and 1 line down the middle of the other circle. Use one of them as a template and trace a 3rd circle onto a sheet of foam core. A beautiful, pristine sheet of foam core that I totally wasn't using as a paint shield. Just gorgeous. Then cut it out. This will go inside the shield and prevent it from warping. Cut out a little groove along each line using a razor tool at a 45-degree angle and a metal straight edge as a guide. You could also use the rotary tool for this, but they have a tendency to go all over the place. In fact, while the glue is setting up between the foam mat and the foam core, allow me to demonstrate. So I was about to use my rotary tool to carve a wood pattern onto the planks like so, which is something that I've done before when trying to simulate, a tree stump, but then I realized that that's the texture of tree bark. And I thought about all the carpentry gigs I've had and how I've never constructed anything using planks that still had tree bark on them. I mean, Link's not gonna go into battle using a shield made out of tree bark. That's absurd, for a game about magic. Seriously, do whatever makes you happy. I'm just gonna paint the texture on because that's what looks right to me. But it's a DIY. Do it yourself, make your own choices, have fun with it. Cut a groove in the middle of the other circle, the same as in the previous one. I had to clean this one up a little bit with my rotary tool. Heat the whole thing up with the heat gun, and give it a bit of a dome shape by kneeing it and then setting it into a spot where it can cool in that dome shape. I used that fan cage from before to help it retain its shape. So despite all that effort, that's not going to be enough for the dome to keep its shape in the long run, so you're going to need to make some kind of ribbing and internal support. I did so using, you guessed it, scrap foam. When the ribbing is finished, carefully glue on the dome, then paint it brown. The look I'm going for is aged oak. I'm trying to recreate what I'm seeing in the game, so the look I'm going for is my interpretation of the original artist's look. You can achieve this wood texture by watering down your paint and making sure all of the brush strokes are going in the same direction. Wait for that to dry before starting on the other side, just so you don't smudge it, or put it on some kind of easel where it's not going to smudge. Try to leave spaces blank where you think the metal details are going to go, just because it'll create a better bonding surface for the glue. While that was drying, I cut the puzzle pieces off of some gray foam strips and painted them silver. It's just a good idea to do these pieces separately because the silver parts have to butt up right against the wood. And if you wait until after you attach them, then you're gonna risk getting silver paint on the wood. It wouldn't normally be a big deal, but using masking or painter's tape on this particular surface is going to pull up the wood texture. When the strips are dry, glue them onto the shield one by one. Don't you just love how clean and organized I keep my workspace? It's beautiful. So it makes sense that there should be seams in certain places, but I thought there were just a bit too many along the outer edge of the shield, so I covered them up with lengths of craft foam. I also filled in some of the seams on the back with quick seal. That will take a while to set up, so work on another part of the build before you put the last layer of paint on it. So I know I use EVA foam a lot, but you can't really make the handle out of foam. It's just not going to hold up if there's any kind of actual motion that the actor is gonna want to do. Allow me to demonstrate using this other shield I built. So cut a length of PVC, carefully heat it up with the heat gun. When it's soft enough, bend it and hold it in place until it cools. You can make it cool faster by running it under cold water. When it cools, mark and cut holes for it in the shield and hot glue it in place. So this handle is supposed to have little metal feet, which I kind of forgot about, so made those really quick out of foam and glued them in place. I masked off the shield with a newspaper and put down a base coat of black. For the arm strap, you're going to need to make these sort of clover fleur-de-lis shape to hold down the arm strap. Use a rotary tool to smooth out the edges and carefully use the end of the bit to simulate rivets. Paint them silver and set them aside to dry. Take an old belt, measure it, and cut it up. I'm attaching it using contact cement, which to be honest is like 1,000,000 times stronger and more durable than hot glue, but it has a much longer working time and gives off fumes that are both toxic and explode. So if you don't have a well-ventilated shop, I'd really recommend finding a substitute. Okay, so by now the quick seal is dry, so I'm gonna sand that real quick. Then go ahead and paint the handle and the rest of the shield rim silver. When the handle is dry, attach a piece of leather or vinyl to it with hot glue. Alright, now onto the front. Cut any rivets that you want to add out of craft foam. Before you put the last coat of paint on the rim, add some battle damage to it by cutting out little slices with your work knife. You don't want to go overboard on this because too much battle damage around the edge implies that there should be some battle damage on the wooden part of the shield, and I really don't want to damage the wooden part. That's just my personal preference. You can do what you want. Have fun with it, you know? When you're finished, apply the last coat of silver. Now for the shield boss. Cut a circular piece of foam, heat it up, and press it into a bowl. This is called dishing. When it's formed, cut a circular piece of craft foam and glue it around the rim of the boss. Glue it onto the shield and hold it in place until it dries, because it's going to want to try and pull itself apart. I'm painting the rim silver before I glue it down because, again, I don't want to get silver paint on the wooden part of the shield. So when that's dry, glue it down. Occasionally the hot glue would pull up little bits of paint, so I just went in with a brown Sharpie and colored over those. Use the work knife to carve battle damage onto the boss, because the way the shield is used in the game, there would absolutely be some kind of battle damage on it. Be careful though not to cut all the way through. Mask it off and paint it. I used spray paint this time because I didn't want brush strokes on the boss. The pattern on the front seems to change depending on the source material. I made this super rough stencil just to get the general dimensions right, and then painted it using acrylic copper. Don't feel that you need to use a template for this. This template that I'm using is a fan's interpretation of a fan's interpretation of an artist's original design. If you want to freehand this, feel free to do that. I ended up only using it for the spine section and then manipulating the edges after that was done. I let that dry, and that's it. One Traveler's Shield. Now that's done, please enjoy this test film. So real. Awesome. So are you guys enjoying the return of BFX as much as I am? Because in all honesty, this is blowing my mind right now. I mean, that's an Indy Mogul build. It is so surreal to me that I'm hosting the show right now. I can't even get my head around this. If you'd like to make this a regular monthly show, why not consider checking out our Patreon page? If just a fraction of you chip in a few bucks, then we'll be able to reach our BFX goal and make this a regular monthly show. The money goes into our build budget, plus all the time it takes us to put together these episodes. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Let us know what you'd like to see us make next, and have a good one. Jake out. See how much better this handle is than the other one? I could do this all day and it won't break.